Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, and back here with just a workshop update. As you guys can see, I have a lot going on right now. I got a lot out and about. So the last few videos that you guys have seen were me kind of going through some of my Grand Trunk stuff, getting some new stuff in. Basically went through, fixed any little issues with anything, like if there was any paint or detail issues with the shells. Just kind of gave those locomotives a pretty thorough run through, cleaned, tested, whatever I had going on there. Switched out couplers on some of that stuff. Just some pretty basic getting things ready to run. So all that is done. I'm on onto some different stuff. As you guys can see, a lot of Union Pacific. Some big stuff too. As you guys can see, some DD40s sitting over there. And then I got a few more over here. And then you guys will also see some SD70Ms and a couple SD40-2s. Kind of been going through some of the stuff I haven't ran in a really long time. And basically just needing to go through some things, some routine maintenance on some of this stuff. Some of the stuff that I'm doing is upgrading as well. The SD70Ms are basically those are just getting some cleaning and some greasing. Not too much really going on with those. Those are Athearn Genesis. Let's see here. I got the boxes. So the 4526, that was actually an older Athearn blue box that I swapped a bunch of new parts on and added some details to. That's one of those Athearn misprints with the numbers that are printed on the side of the cab like way too spaced apart. But it's still a sharp looking unit. And then you guys will actually see the 4742, 4737, and 4756 out there. But if you look at the picture, you guys will see it's the red sill stripe and no PTC antenna. And all three of these have the yellow sill stripe and the PTC antenna. Those are some upgrades that I did quite a while ago. Repainted the sill stripe yellow, and then added the PTC antenna array up top. Just to kind of modernize those, make them look a little bit more present. Of course, they're not weathered. A lot of my UP stuff I don't like to weather just because I really enjoy the bright, beautiful paint jobs, and I can't willingly bring myself to disgrace the American flag by weathering it. Yes, I know it's just a model and it's just a picture of the American flag, but I like to really keep those clean and looking good. So pretty much all of my UP stuff is unweathered just because I like to keep that stuff nice and shiny. Just like I talked about with all of my Grand Trunk stuff there, that stuff will not be weathered because I want to keep the paints nice and just look nice. Yes, it does add realism, but at the end of the day, I would rather have a beautiful, clean locomotive. One of the bigger projects I actually have out here, aside from all the DD40s, we'll get into that, was these two SD40-2s. I will move a couple things so that way I can bring those up and kind of talk about what I did to these. So these were kind of the earlier run of the revamp of the Ready to Roll. So you guys could see here I have those Grand Trunk, kind of that newer Ready to Roll series. Those are the UP ones, and they were kind of earlier in the series, even though they are from the revamp of the Ready to Roll. These were kind of the earlier run of that. So they kind of had a issue with the motors. Other than that, I have done haven't done a whole lot detail-wise to these as far as additions. I did upgrade a few things to kind of turn them into a SD40N looking locomotive. Aside from some fuel tank detail, I have some air filter equipment added on. I believe I added on these little filters too. And I am also working on getting some PTC. Excuse me. Kind of dealing with some springtime stuff here, so anyway, so I actually found some 3D printed PTC antenna cabinets that will sit behind the air conditioner and replace the white GPS dome. Waiting on those. I kind of want to get that on there, and that'll kind of make those look a little bit more updated. But the big thing was internally. So these came with DCC and sound. But the motors were kind of an issue. So here's what they were using. They were using these. It's basically a Athearn Blue Box motor, but with upgraded counterweights. You guys can see they're slimmer. They've been turned out to be balanced. But literally, that's the only thing that's really changed on these is the flywheels. The overall bit of it is very much a Athearn Blue Box motor. And the issue that I was having with these two motors is that they were not running the same speed at all. And another issue with these, if you do a lot of locomotive building and motor swapping and stuff, is the way the whole motor is kind of built. It can bind because you have two halves of basically a plastic frame right here, and those also hold the bushings for the motor shaft itself. So you have two different bushings right there and right there. And an issue that I've found with these is sometimes, especially after screwing these down, it'll kind of tweak both sides of the frame and kind of put it in a bind. And it's kind of hard to counteract that. You can loosen some screws, tighten some screws, but it's kind of a hard thing to figure out. And I was noticing after getting these kind of cleaned up and back together that one of these motors was turning much more freely than the other, and for the life of me I could not get the other one to loosen up. So I decided to ditch these old motors and go with an Athearn Genesis Roco motor. So these are basically the motors that you find in modern Athearn Genesis stuff, or at least within like the past 8 years worth of Athearn Genesis. These are the motors that they're using. They're a nice motor. They might not be the fanciest motor, but they are a nice motor. They run smooth. For the better part, they run pretty quiet. The way they are held is much different now. It's not relying on holding. I'll take one of these out. So right there you guys can see the frame separation, and then you can also see the frame separation up top held on by the little clip there. And that's kind of an issue when you go to screw in the motor. It'll kind of bind these up and twist these two sections, get them out of alignment. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes you can fix it with loosening and tightening the screws, but sometimes just sitting in the spot it'll kind of bind up. So these are a good replacement for that. The holes are a little off, but they do line up good enough. And these, what's nice is these, you guys can see just two screws screwed to the bottom of this, and that doesn't cause any binding between the front and rear half of the motor. And you can flip-flop them or completely adjust them. There's even another hole there. So I decided to do two of these Roco motors. So that's what these have now. They run much smoother, and they run the exact same speed. Now with these being DCC, yes, you can go and speed match them, so that way the motors doesn't really matter. But the issue for me was one of these motors was in a bind, and that was going to start causing excessive wear. Even if I did speed match them, one of these motors would have still been kind of fighting itself. So we just ditched those and got the Roco motors in. So better option in my eyes, and just from testing these, they run fantastically smooth at slow speeds, and they don't. One's not running faster than the other now, so when it comes time to run these on DCC, that will help out greatly. So little upgrade that was necessary for those. And then, like I said, right now I'm just waiting on the PTC antenna cabinets for those, and then these will be done. But these are really nice. They have front and rear ditch lights, and they are working. They're incandescent bulbs. They're little tiny light bulbs. I prefer those actually over the LEDs. The LEDs, you kind of lose that warm glow of the light bulb, and that's kind of a big thing with this stuff, is that you do see the warm glow of the individual light bulbs. But they're pretty nicely detailed. I did put weathered couplers on them, just that way the couplers looked better. They are a metal KD number 5. But yeah, other than that, just a couple little details. And these are one of my favorite locomotives. I love the snoot nose SD40-2s. Like I said, doing a couple upgrades to kind of turn these into their SD40N versions. These are sold as an SD40-2. So it doesn't really matter what you call it. Either way, it's an SD40-2. But they're fantastic looking locomotives. I love how these look. So got these quite a while ago. Got them as a pair, and now I'm happy that they run a lot better with each other. So that was a few days messing around with that, getting the panels to fit right on the new motors, because the panels that were in here were kind of designed differently to clip on top of these older motors. So that was kind of something that I had to figure out, but that was one end of what I have going on here. So we'll just kind of set these over here. And then, as you can see, another very large part of what I'm doing right now is going through some of my, actually going through all of my DD40s. Those as well are Athearn Genesis. You guys can see they're from the run quite a few years ago. Some of them are DCC, some of them are not. The ones that are not are basically going to be my museum units. I would like to eventually get DCC and sound in those, but for now they are going to be a free rolling unit, so I can tow them around and I can still have them on DCC. And like I said, eventually I will get around to getting sound in DCC for all of them, so this is just a kind of a temporary thing. But a couple things I was working on was on 6936, the famous one, the one that used to be owned by Union Pacific, operated by Union Pacific. Now it's owned and operated at Silvis. Something that I wanted to change that really kind of bugged me on even the real life unit was the horn. Any of you that have this locomotive know it comes with a silver painted, I think it's like an S3L or something like that. That's not the horn it should have. It should have a big ol' S5T, so that's what it has now. And I even had, I've bought a couple of these in the past for spare parts, and so I had an extra one of the horns. And of course the horn's got the museum paint job. Silver painted horn, red inside the bells. I love that look. You guys saw me do a lot of that on my turbines. Basically anything that has the green nose and silver trucks gets the fancy painted horn, just because I think it looks pretty sharp. So this one, doing some work to it as well, cleaning the wheels. Just overall servicing, so that's why everything's stripped down. It's not necessary to strip it down that far. It kind of is, but you know, it's up to the owner operator what you want to do with it. This is kind of another project. So this is kind of a fantasy one. 6939 does no longer exist. Not sure when it was scrapped, but it is definitely not one of these surviving ones, sadly. But it's my highest number that I had, and so I kind of did some modern day upgrades to it. It does have the ditch lights. I had bought a couple 6936s for parts back in the day, because I wanted to do some upgrading. So this one got the complete running board, walkway, that whole piece, because it has the ditch light inserts, as you guys can see there. I even put a cab camera in there. You guys can see that little post with the camera on it. So it's even got an updated interior. It has the more modern day, the smaller warning beacon, and then an air conditioner, and then one of the small Sinclair antennas. So I kind of got some of the upgrades that 6936 got over the years. Once again, did the fancy paint job on the horn. And then both of these, I know Athearn does, or they used to have like a more modern version of this. But these I got, they were from the older run, so I had to paint the yellow updated sill stripe on both of those. So that kind of gives them a little bit more of a modern look. Just for some reference here, so here's my 6915. I'm keeping this one kind of museumed, keeping it backdated with the red sill stripe. Still did the beautiful red and silver horn, but it does still have the old cab vent, the large style warning beacon, no air conditioner, no ditch lights. Gold and red painted bell, just to add a little bit of detail. all of my kind of museum versions have that done to them. These two are the only two that I have that actually have still have the cab mounted horns, as you guys can see there. I really wish 6915 had a cab mounted horn, just that way that would kind of follow suit, but this one came with a hood mounted horn, so I didn't have any of the right stanchions or little pedestals to switch that around, or I would have. So, but yeah, so kind of going through that stuff. Like I said, got the correct horn on 6936, so I'm happy with how that looks now. But yeah, other than that, just kind of going through, doing some cleaning, some servicing. The two modern versions will be getting the roller bearing versions of the trucks, as you guys can see there, the rebuild versions, and then the museum versions will be getting just the Hyatt box style bearings. The cool thing about these old ones is they actually still have the they say the gear ratio on them. I don't know if I can get that to focus or not. Where's my camera's at? Sorry guys, I don't know if I can get that to focus. There we go. It says the gear ratio, which is pretty cool. The rebuild versions do not say that on there, but I like these versions better just because they have the exposed roller bearing cap. I think that's a really cool look. So the frames for those are going to get the updated trucks. The frames for these are going to get the old school trucks. And then so just kind of doing some of that stuff. Like I said, doing some other cleaning and servicing on some of the stuff while it's apart. A lot of parts, a lot of pieces all over the place. Panels, shafts, trucks, fuel tanks galore. So, but yeah, so that's basically what I've been up to, guys. Just a little shop update. Try to wrap these projects up. Not too sure. I'm kind of getting into spring and summer now. So, videos might taper off for a while, depending on if I get anything or anything pressing that I really want to work on. I might have a few projects come up. Model railroad wise, I am going to be kind of trying to get back into finishing up some of my horn projects that I left off last year. So if I have anything super exciting with that, I'll post it, but I am trying to slowly not completely get out of the horn hobby, but take a big step back from that. So you guys will still see a little bit of horn content throughout the summer, but not a whole lot. So just getting it with the model railroad stuff, and been having some fun with that. So it's nice kind of getting back to servicing some of the stuff that I hasn't ran in quite a while, that I ran quite a bit back in the day. So yeah, guys, that's it. Just a little update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and until next time, take care.